Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Love Evolution, where our focus is on living more consciously and bringing you more love, more joy, and more prosperity into your life. And today I am deeply honored to have Chanel Lingenfelder, who is an author, a therapist, and a trans voice channel. And I think I'm especially honored to have her as my guest because she's one of the people that was really instrumental in the very early days of my own spiritual awakening. And just being in her space and being there when she did the channels and the information that came through and the deep love that this woman has for humanity. So I'm really deeply honored to have you here, Chanel. Welcome.
Thanks, Kaz, and thank you very much for having me and asking me. I'm humbled by this. Thank you. Thank
Oh.
you.
So, Chanel, for people that don't know anything about channeling or what a trance voice channel is, can you explain that process, please?
Okay. Well, first of all, we all channel, even when we think we don't channel. Often we would sit and we would receive guidance or a message or anything. I mean, you could be busy cooking and all of a sudden you've got this message to say, I think I should sort of put the oven a bit lower today because there's surge in electricity, whatever. These intuition, these sparks of messages and enlightenment are all channeling. So we all channel all the time. It just depends on who you channel and where your frequency is. Like Spirit always says, it's like tuning a radio station. So you tune your radio station on receiving intuitive messages. And when I go into channel mode, I have a process that I go through that Spirit taught me. And at the same time, I tune my frequency, my radio into their frequency. And their frequency is always there waiting to meet me. You know, even if you think back of biblical times, I mean, no one was really there to account what happened. A lot of the information was channeled many years later. And it says when it's written in, like, for example, the Bible, which I don't know very well, but the book according to la la la. So it's messages that are being received. Like I said in my book, to priests and ministers stand in front of the church in their congregation, and they would all of a sudden change their message for the day. And they would say, I don't know where that came from, but I feel I need to share this. These are all channeled frequencies because we channel all the time, and nowadays, thank the heavens, channeling has become a more accepted word. I mean, people use it all the time. They even make jokes about it. They say, oh, well, today I'm going to channel my inner chef and then I'm going to cook something amazing, or I'm going to channel Nigella Lawson, or whatever the case is. So it's become a lot more acceptable and normal kind of thing. Whereas in days gone by, especially 100 years ago, these things were done in darkness and underground and very secretive. But that changed. That changed. Now, when I say trance voice channeling, it means that I go into an altered state of consciousness. I have a specific, call it a formula, that Spirit gave me. Actually, Kuthumi gave it to me through Michelle many, many years ago. What to do, how to set a frequency around me to protect and connect. And then you wait. It's almost like you wait in this like golden vacuum, and the energy starts moving and it goes up, and the pressure in my pineal gland and all that goes ballistic, and then the energy just floats and it goes up. And as it goes up, it connects with this frequency that ascends, that descends. So I ascend and it descends. And I ascend not very far because they come more than three-quarters of the way to meet me, you know?
Mhm.
And I sort of step out of the way kind of thing. And when Kuthumi, who is most um, my most treasured master that I work with, because he's taught me over so many years, um, just takes over, and I would just hear myself saying, I am Kuthumi, la 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 la. And it's just as he begins to speak, I move away, my consciousness move away. And the best way I explained it is, um, when I'm in channel mode, for example, if I had to channel right here where I am, I would channel, but my consciousness would be, what's the birds doing? Oh, there's noise in the street. Oh, there's somebody there, coughing next door. It's everywhere,
Yes.
but not here.
Right.
And can I hear what's being said? Yes, I can for that moment. But because so much is shared so fast, it's impossible for me to keep track of it. And that's why we have it recorded. I hope that sort of covers your question.
Okay, beautifully, beautifully covered. And can you tell us who Master Kuthumi is?
Well, Master Kuthumi is an ascended master. Um, Master Kuthumi has been involved in the world of esoterics since the late 1800s. He was one of the three masters that worked with Madame Blavatsky to create the Theosophical Society. And the Theosophical Society is where the birth of esoterics happened on a larger scale. There are many other outlets, yes, there are many other groups, but that specific group, the Theosophical Society, is a society that was created to bring sense and understanding into the world of theosophy, into the world of religion. But this is not about religion. This
Yes.
is about an understanding of a belief. And of course, it's very much along the line of esoterics.
Mm.
And although, you know, we will see in time to come, we are going to use the word esoterics less and less and less and less, because the new frequency of the earth is the new frequency of the earth. And that word is going to fall away, as it already has started.
Right.
So that is Kuthumi. That's where Kuthumi started. But he had many famous incarnations on our planet, which I will mention them, but very often in channeled state, he doesn't want to talk about it.
Okay.
People have asked questions and they delve into it, but that's not because he's a world teacher. He teaches humanity right now to be your best self and to understand yourself in such a way that you wouldn't need a therapist, or with the help of a therapist, you can understand yourself much better,
Yes.
because people are closed up. We all close up, we put things under the carpet, etc. And the group of ascended masters that consider themselves to be world teachers fall under the umbrella of the Christ consciousness. And of course, Christ consciousness, there are many different Christs, but we relate to Master Jesus as our Christ consciousness. And that office of Christ has brought through this world group of teachers, of which Kuthumi is one, to share information onto the planet that would make the planet understand itself better, for us to understand ourselves better, and therefore to be able to grow and to evolve as beings. So um, in his lifetime, I mean, he's from the bottom up, Moses, Thutmose. He had an amazing lifetime as Saint Francis of Assisi. um, Shah Jahan, that built the Taj Mahal, was one of his lifetimes, very famous lifetime. And of course, later on, towards the end, he was Kuthumi. It's spelled quite differently, and that's where he became a Mahatma. And then, as that, Kuthumi Lal Singh, he lived in in Europe, and he was born in India, of course, and he traveled and worked through Europe. He studied at Oxford University. He studied um, at Dreißig. He studied at Leipzig and a few universities in Germany um, to better himself in the field of psychology. So when I am asked who is Kuthumi, to me, he's a master psychologist, and he's here to help us to master our psychology. And of course, in that famous Kuthumi Lal Singh lifetime, they wrote, Kuthumi Deval Singh and Al Moria wrote what was called the Mahatma letters. And these letters, of course, helped Madame Blavatsky to form the basis of the Theosophical Society. And that was his very last lifetime on this planet.
Hey. Wow, that was so beautifully and simply explained because a lot of that I did not know at all. Um, so I want to talk more about the Christ consciousness, but before we get there, your book is called From Party Patsy to Praying Patricia. So tell us, please, about your own spiritual awakening. Like, what was life like? There you go. What was life like before as Party Patsy? And then what led to your own awakening?
Party Patsy was all about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. There's no other way I could put it. Oh, she was wild and she loved life. Party Patsy was all about diamonds and furs. I had two affairs, which you read about in my book, with married men. Scandalous. Party Patsy did everything anybody didn't want to do. Patsy was wild. She was a showgirl, you know. I started off as a showgirl at the age of 18, 16, 17. Anyway, and as my life progressed, I started going through a few sort of wake up calls. And look, I've always been an extremely spiritual person. And in my younger days, I was extremely religious. And I was a devout Catholic. Okay? Because I was kicked out of this Sunday school in my church at the age of 8, because I spoke against the minister and telling him that I don't believe in the God that he preaches about. That's all full of anger and hate and whatever. I then went through a stage where I didn't tap into religion or spirituality. And my parents weren't, my mom was a clairvoyant and she used to talk to the Spocks all the time.
Mhm.
And so I grew up sort of being very comfortable with the other side. Okay. And then I went through this whole Catholic situation, which I loved. Because I'm a Leo, I'm over the top and I love bling and all this kind of thing, you know. So I love the Catholic Church because it's gold and it's big and it's got bells and it's got smoke and it's dramatic. And, you know, I love it. I love that. And you know what I love the most about the Catholic Church? The fact that I can go to Mass on a Friday and a Saturday night and I don't have to go on Sundays. So Sunday wasn't considered a revered day like it is in other religions. You know, the Catholic Church is completely different. But anyway, so moving on from the Catholic Church, still very involved in the Catholic Church. And towards the end of 1990, 91, I had 6 friends die in a row. And during that time, I went through the most traumatic time I've ever experienced in my life. Party Patsy became suicidal. But but that was not Party Patsy was there and with all the bling and the money and the furs and the life and flying and all over the world and but I started thinking deeper. And the thing that got me going, which um, has played a pivotal role in my life, is I couldn't accept that once you die, that there's nothing. And I couldn't accept that you're going to be given a choice between heaven and hell. And I couldn't accept that this life you've just lived is going to just end. I couldn't accept it. And I had a lot of things that happened to me. I mean, my mother appeared to me in the Universal Mind Church in the old days still, and a lot of like connections with spookies coming to play and people from the other side walking in and that kind of thing. But you know, I've always seen things in a light-hearted way. And I've always believed that one must share it with humor. So I took all of this with great humor. But then I went through a massive, massive depression. And yeah, it just was terrible. And I started thinking deeper. And it was around 1995 when I discovered the Theosophical Society, who I then joined and eventually became the librarian there. But I knew nothing because the world that Patsy lived in was completely different from the world that Patricia was about to discover, you know. And the parties still continued, the wildness still continued, the sex, drugs, and rock and roll still continued until about 2001, because I had something happen to me at the Theosophical Society around 1998, where this woman appeared to me and she said to me, she came with two books into the library and she thumped these books on the table and you just saw dust, you know. And she said to me, you should study these subjects. And the one subject was all about color and the other subject was about the chakras. And I knew nothing about either one of these. Like I said in my little video yesterday, initially I thought chakras was something you eat, and the only thing I knew about color was that black made me look thin, you know. So I was very 3D when it comes to those kind of things. And I then did. I started slowly working and studying. And then, God, I want to cry. Sorry. It was around about 2001. Oh, sorry. One day, I opened my computer and I received an email from an undisclosed recipient. I don't know where it came from. And it was an email of Kuthumi. It was a channel from Michelle at the time, where she channeled Kuthumi. And I felt like suddenly they've heard me. It's like you're banging on the door and suddenly it's open.
Yeah.
I cried, I danced. I think I even poured a bottle of wine. I was so excited because suddenly somebody from the other side is telling us they can hear us. And that fascinated me. It was like, there's your answer, you know, Chanel. I've always wanted to know um, that there's life after death, that death is just a process. I wanted to understand why all these people, including my mom and everyone else, left so early. You know, I mean, I went through tremendous trauma with people dying around me. So much so, for about 3 years, I thought I was next. You know, I was on medication and I was depressed and paranoid and all the rest of it. But with these things happening, when this email finally landed on my inbox in 2001, and I still don't know how did it get to me. I didn't know the person that sent it, which was Michelle. I didn't know any of the other recipients that she sent it to. Why would they, where did she find my email address? I didn't know her. In fact, I've heard about channeling, but you know, in the Catholic Church, you're told, don't go there. It's nasty, it's evil, it's all the rest of it, you know, all the so I still had a lot of that um I was still drinking the Catholic Kool-Aid kind of thing
Yes.
at that time, so I was very influenced by it. So there was still a big side of me that said, oh no, you can't go there. But then when this arrived, it was different because when I read that email, every single word there was was said in love. I only saw love. I saw no evil. I saw no anger. I saw no blasphemy. I saw none of the things that I've always been told these things are about. And Kaz, that changed my world. That is where Party Patsy realized that she's going to go and process and become praying Patricia. And from then on, for the next sort of 5 years, my life changed immensely, immensely. I mean, to me, previously, Party Patsy could never live life without a partner. Never. I wouldn't be seen dead without a partner. There had to be a man in my life. There had to be the functions, the parties, the blings, the cars, the whole thing. And then I started, by some miraculous sort of meaning or whatever, or maybe it's the remnants of the Mahatma letters or whatever, but I started discovering many other people that were channeling. I then joined several groups, and from 2002, I was very actively involved in the spiritual sort of scene in Durban. And obviously, I only started channeling in 2006. But that was a transition period where the only way I could do it was to be alone. And I had to learn to discover myself, to love myself. I could no longer rely on an external source or a partner to do it for me. I had to do it myself. And that's one of the things Archangel Michael insisted on back then was unless you are in a relationship, to not go into a relationship for a number of years, so that in your ownness, in your loneliness, you can truly discover that inner self. And that's how Patricia was born, praying Patricia was born.
Oh, that is such an incredible story. And I
Sorry
noticed
for the dramatics. Oh,
that's beautiful.
gets me
But
so
but
emotional.
when you spoke about like the content of that email and like finally feeling that someone heard you, I felt emotional there because I think we all come from that conditioning of, the fear. You've got to follow these rules
Yes,
and do this, and if you don't, you're going to get punished. And, you know, to come out of that. But the question I want to ask you now is that I noticed that the majority of people that are on a spiritual path had some kind of massive challenge in their lives to make them question the way things were and how we're living and what we've been taught, and then seek a deeper truth. So, for people right now that are going through some major life challenges, and we see it, in the world today, the suicide rates are higher than it's ever been. Depression is something that is like the new epidemic on our planet, the loneliness, all of
yes,
this, we're
yes,
seeing this in the world today so much, and I understand that it's because there's a mass awakening happening. So for people that are going through this initial challenges where they're questioning everything about life or going through the deep depression and so on, can you give some kind of guidance, um, like what's the step from that point?
okay. So for me personally, well, look, what worked for me, what I had to, but I was told to do it, and it worked for me, was to um, be still, be quiet, find your own quiet space, you know, because in silence comes wisdom. So I was taught to learn to meditate, which I never did before, and which then took its own journey, but it was all because obviously what was in store for me, which I didn't know. But learn to meditate, even if you can take just 5 or 10 minutes of silence a day. Now, do you know that? I'm sure you know that 8 out of 10 people on the planet can't handle silence.
Yes. Yeah.
So, to those people, I say, join a group. Group consciousness creates support. A group of any kind. You know, back in the day, there wasn't any groups. So I started groups, you know. I started meditation groups. Remember, you were there in those days. I started meditation groups, just normal meditation groups. And I started little groups of sort of just discussing things, throwing questions around, even though nobody really had the answers. We came up with the answers together, you know. But to me, what really, really helps, and it's been proven, is listen to guided meditations.
Yeah.
For someone that can't handle the silence, do guided meditations. You know, I've got a little WhatsApp group, but it's very, very small. And we've been going now for about 6, 7 years. All ladies, and it wasn't meant to be ladies because I invited everyone, but it turned out all ladies. And I send out various meditations from many different people, but we try and keep it to 10 minutes. So 10-minute guided meditation every day, which anybody can do. And if you don't have the time, just wake up 10 minutes earlier, you know, put your earphones like
Yes.
this in your ears, switch your phone on, and before you get out of bed, just listen to it. If you've got a partner, you know, if you want to get up and go to the toilet and have a cup of coffee and a cigarette or whatever you want to do, then go back and just 10 minutes. Just try and find 10 minutes for yourself to listen to something other than your nagging mind. Because it's our own nagging mind that sends us into a frenzy. And the whole process of this is to learn to listen to another mind. And in deep meditation, you listen to the sound of silence. Yes. Now, like Brandon always likes to say, Buddha says the way to learn to do it is to listen to one hand clapping.
Yes.
You know, so but that's difficult. So the easier thing to do to bring stability and that into your life is find silence. If you can't find silence, find support. Join a support group, join a social group, join anything else or anything that makes you excited. Join an art class, join a dance class, join a cooking class, join a group that can help you to really get your passion to blossom and your creativity to blossom, because the key here is creativity. And even in the 12 chakra system, creativity is right at the top. Creativity is part of the divine mystery of all existence, because once we become creative, something amazing happens in the brain and we start becoming more creative. And then the next thing you do this, like I've got a friend in Joburg, and she was very much a kind of 3D person, you know, sort of, she's retired now, so she sits and watches the rugby and that. I mean, you should see her now. She's doing stained glass glasses and art this. She's not an artist, you know, but these things have just like lifted her out of this because she's on her own and she's desperate for a partner, you know, and the partner will come. But for us, you know, you're the life coach.
Yes.
For as long as the desperation is
Yes,
there, it
yes,
prevents the partner from moving in,
absolutely.
from coming through.
Yeah,
So for as long as you're going to be desperate for somebody else
yeah,
to make you happy, you're never going to get happy.
yes.
So you got to find that happiness within. And at the time of depression, it's very, very difficult. And that is why I suggest a support group of any kind, not necessarily a psychological support
Mm,
group,
mm.
a support group that's going to make you realize what a beautiful being you are and how creative you actually are and to have fun. Because you know what? The moment you have joy, everything in your life changes. And joy is the one thing that's prevented me from jumping off the cliff many times.
Right.
That's what I would say.
The frequencies, hey, yeah, coming out of that low frequencies, and then joy is one of the highest frequencies, even above
Yes.
love.
Yes.
On the
Yes. Well,
spectrum, yeah.
love is something that is a very difficult subject, as you very
Mm.
well know, because when we speak about love on a lower level, we speak about love that's got conditions,
The
because
Hollywood
there
kind of love.
always is conditions to love. Yeah.
Mm.
But when we speak about love as a higher frequency, love is actually an essence, you know? Um, like Brandon and I were discussing the other day, the word faux hatch. I don't know if you've ever heard it or know it. The word faux hatch is described as a cosmic glue that connects everything, and that's love. Because source is love,
Yes,
source is
yes,
only love,
yes.
and therefore, on that level, love has no opposites. Hate on a lower level is the opposite of
Mm.
love because there's a condition to it. But on a higher level, love has no
No
opposites
opposite.
because it's a frequency that nobody can match unless you are in it. And that's the frequency we step into the moment we cross the veil. And we shuffle off upstairs and
Yes,
go
yeah.
and find another life there.
Joy.
Yay!
Joy, joy, freedom.
Joy, joy, joy. So that joy puts us then in that altered state of consciousness where that love just transcends everything.
Yes,
You see, and as you think, it happens.
yeah. And
Now we're
and would
supposed to have that here.
yes, yes.
Sorry?
Yeah, that's the heaven on earth, isn't it? And
Yes.
so would you describe the Christ consciousness as that kind of love?
Yes, of course. Absolutely. But Christ consciousness in itself is quite, it's not a complicated thing.
Mm,
It's about accepting a level of consciousness that is so unadulterated
mm.
and so pure
Yeah.
and so divine in your life that you can actually understand things you don't normally understand, where you become non-judgmental.
Mm,
Now that is probably one of the most powerful words on the planet because I don't like Kuthumi always says, you know, the group of people that knows about non-judgment is very small on your planet. And to me, because it's our natural thing to judge, you know,
yeah.
it's we ingrained in it because we've been brought up with it. We are indoctrinated through it. Now, the Christ consciousness that is living as a crusted being within your heart doesn't allow judgment. It doesn't allow you to look down on others. It doesn't allow you to separate your thought process from others that are perhaps stuck on a lower level or living in the past. So it's although it's a complicated concept, we have Christ consciousness within us. Each one of us have an etheric cell within our high heart. And the high heart is just slightly behind and up from the lower heart, our normal heart center. In there is an etheric cell called the God core cell. That etheric cell holds the frequency of the memory of Christ consciousness. And when that blossoms and grows, you tap into every aspect of yourself without judgment. So that is where you can actually work with your fragments and your pluses, your aspects. And you can put the two together and you can say, you know what? This is who I am. I am
Mm.
a multifaceted, multidimensional,
Yeah.
magnificent, magical expression of light, like Kuthumi always says.
Yeah.
Because it really doesn't matter what happened. In actual fact, it doesn't matter what happened an hour ago because it's gone. And the Christ consciousness that awakens within allows you to understand yourself in a ascended divine frequency. Because that's the spirit always says. They always say, look, we know that, humans, we like to prod and we like to know things, but we're not supposed to know everything. That's like a God-given fact. So they always say, you always want to know your past life. And spirit says, you sure, if there are past lives that you need to go into and to regress into to heal yourself, then go there and do it and get over it and,
Mm.
build a bridge and get over it kind of thing. But if you know only a tenth of what you've done in your past lives that was damaging, you would probably slit your own wrists right now with a blunt knife and watch yourself bleed slowly. Becoming a martyr and a stigmata of your own,
Mm.
because there's no need for it. Now that is where this diamond core cell is there. It's like, we have that etheric tube along our spinal column. We have the cords that connect the antakarana and all the rest of it. But it is the breath and the life and the frequency. It's the in and out breath of God that holds us here. And that is your saving grace. You know, it is often when people go through exceptional trauma that they switch like that. And it's because of your own life force, your own chi, your prana, whatever you want to call it,
Mm.
that come and blasts a new frequency of awakening into that. And that is part of Christ consciousness, you know? Does it make sense?
Yes, yes, yeah, that was so beautifully explained. Um, what I want to know is if we look at humanity's current situation, right? What is Master Kuthumi's latest channelings about? Where's humanity going? What's our next step from where we are? We seem to have hit some kind of rock bottom.
We did, and we have.
Mhm.
Look, from my perspective, Kuthumi has channeled through me over many years, many systems to work with,
Yes.
because that's what he believes in. Like, for example, the chakric system, the various workshops I've done recently is all none of that I can put my name to. It's all information that I received from him. And his aim is to shift the vibrational frequency on the planet for us to awaken to a new consciousness. Because believe it or not, I know it's very difficult to understand. And for a lot of people, it's really difficult to understand. In time to come, this world is going to go through its paradise years, its peace years, because it's part of the plan that's coming. But to get there, we have to take stock. We have to clean up. To clean up, everything has to come out. When you do spring cleaning, you
Yes.
don't put the dust under the carpet. You roll the carpet up and you almost suffocate through the dust of the last year since you've last spring cleaned to be able to. And then you wash the carpet and you dry it in the sun. Then you bring it in. And if you've got any sense, change your furniture around while you're there. Kuthumi always talks about changing the furniture in your house. He's set on it. He says, don't ever just have your furniture in the same way. Your physical furniture, change it. Because every time you change it, you shift a vibrational frequency in your house,
Ah.
which affects you. Because we are living frequencies. So over the last couple of years, up until about 2018, 2020, 2022, 21. Kuthumi took us through various, when I say us, I had a small group. In many years ago, in the beginning, I had a massive group in Durban. Sometimes 50, 80, 100 people used to come at the Universal Mind. And then eventually, when we moved to Falmouth, everybody used to come to our home. Remember, we had a huge lounge. We turned into a prayer room and everything, where we had the channelings and the workshops and whatever. Anyway, so from then until about 6 years ago, 5 years ago, he taught us a process of discovering yourself in a different way. He called it the awakening of the new you. Now, this he already started fine-tuning in 2012, just after the shift in 2012. The new you, he used to call it. And it's basically a meditation that he taught us, which is extremely intense, but it's 7 steps, but it's got many, many, many sections to it that we worked with as a group. We worked with an online group. I worked with my group online, and I also worked with an overseas group at the time to bring through these teachings that he wanted to present to the world, that he wanted me to present to the world, which is what I've done, which is what I'm working on, and which is still, I mean, the stuff published at the moment in the Sedona Journal, he channeled to me in 2012. Now it's 12 years ago. So all of a sudden, at the beginning of this year, he said, the 12-year cycle is complete. We gave you this information in 2012. Now it's 2024. You need to release this because the shifting of the frequencies around and in and around the planet is going to speed up fast, fast, fast now, which is why that information is being published in the Sedona Journal at the moment. Okay. Ever since then, he has had he's discussed a bit about the earth and the earth changes. He warned us about COVID. He did. And he obviously said there's massive changes in store. But he's very careful because he doesn't like to do futuristic expressions. The reason why, he explains it like this. He says, the earth is shifting so fast at the moment. If you look at our earth, there's our sun, and it's got all the planets around it in the Milky Way and the earth, and this swivels in this universe, okay? This universe is part of about 91 universes on this level of creation, okay? The earth, the Milky Way, and our entire system is also moving. So it's busy swiveling in an area where it has never been. Some of the frequencies we are now just picking up is frequencies that's been left behind, like they say, 26 plus thousand years ago, you know. So everything is new. The energy on the planet is new. The frequencies we're working with is new. The way things are going to shift and change is new. And he just insists that you just got to hold on to your hat. You got to hold on to your faith. You got to, because I know I suffer from this terribly. Sometimes I get so annoyed. I want to get on an airplane and just go fly to America and just storm into the White House and tell Donald Trump to just wake up. And while you're waking up, just wake the whole bloody lot up. Because they're all playing with us like we're pawns. Yeah. And everybody seemed to be so scared of them because it's the government and Donald. I mean, go and play and fly a kite. You know? I feel nothing for these people. They don't hold me. And I think too many of us are falling prey to that. And that is causing a huge depression because Politics is one area I can't go into.
Yes.
And politics is one area spirit won't go into. Well, he won't go, Kuthumi won't go into. He's not interested in it. He's interested in the light years in our head and training us and preparing us for it. So what they say is live in your zone. Because when you live in your zone and you do things that make you happy, things that you are excited about, you are eventually going to live on another timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So you are going to go about your life in the way that you do it because that's what you enjoy. And these other people that want to create war and disaster and whatever will go on to their timeline. The trick to bring the two into a balance together lies in living your life with the greatest integrity, an open perspective in Christ consciousness and truth, and let them be. Brandon reminded me the other day when talking about this war now that was just happening and is happening and whatever. Many years ago in Circle, one of the ladies in the Circle, when we had the drama with Syria, I don't know if you remember that. I can't remember that group that was also carrying on and whatever. Anyway, they asked to me about that, and they said, "Well, what shall we do about it?" And his answer to her was, "You live your life. Let Syria live Syria's life. The only thing you can do here is to send them love and light in your prayers, in your thoughts." Every thought is a bubble, is a frequency. And every thought eventually makes a difference because thoughts become sentences, sentence becomes paragraphs, paragraphs becomes chapters, and chapters becomes books, and books becomes life. So start at the basics. Send out good thoughts, send out good vibrations, keep them in your prayers. If it doesn't affect you directly, then send them the love. But you cannot do anything to change their world because unfortunately that's their world. You know, we are now stuck in this very country, and let me not even go there. And many of us feel stuck and unhappy. And unfortunately, even though the outside world wants to do what they can to help us, there's nothing they can actually physically do to change what's going on here. So we have to deal with it in our way, and they have to deal with it in their way. So the only way to survive in your own way here is to actually be in your own frequency. You know, be in your own good mental state, which again, like do things that make you happy, do things that bring you joy. And if you don't know how to do that or how to discover that, find a group that can help you. You know, nowadays, and now there's no excuse because nowadays you don't have to get into a car and go to a group. All you have to do is put your computer on.
Yes.
I mean, people do art online, you know, everything is online. There is such an amazing network of groups and people across the world on just about absolutely any level from every genre that we no longer need to feel alone. You know, like I mentioned recently in one of the things I did, is there are so many lonely people out there. And they need to get to understand that they don't need to be lonely anymore. All it takes is switching on your computer and joining a group, you know. And when it comes to finances, I always say, I'm sure there's no group that will deny you access online if you can't afford it. Just come forward, reach out, because there is light at the end of the tunnel, you know, your light.
Oh, That was such a beautiful message, because I do believe that it's all about the frequency that we can hold, and that is something that we're in control of. And the higher the frequency you hold, the greater the impact you're making in the world, because
Yes.
you're just helping other
Yeah.
people see something that is possible for them
Yeah.
as well. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
so Chanel, this is the last question I have for you is one that I ask all of my guests. So if there was one message from all of your life experiences, everything that you've been through in this life, if there was one message that you would want to leave for humanity, that when that is repeated over and over again, it becomes your legacy, what would that message be?
Dream your wildest dreams and follow them through. And if they don't come, don't give up. Just keep on dreaming
Oh,
and go big.
yeah.
Go big. Don't put restrictions on yourself. Don't say to yourself, I can't do this, I won't do this, this will never happen to me. Go, you know, take life by the balls and squeeze it, in other words.
Well said in the words of Party Patsy.
And once you've squeezed them, bang them together. Don't give up on your dreams. Follow your dreams and live your best life, you know.
Yeah,
And,
love.
just don't fall prey to the lower frequencies of this earth. Always remember you are a spirit being having a human experience.
Mm.
And this too shall pass. And once this passes, you as a spirit being take with you all these incredible experiences you've had here because that is why you came.
Yes.
You came to live your best life. You came to rock your own world. And that's what I say dream your biggest dream and keep on rocking.
Beautifully said. I love that message. And I'm going to go and rearrange some furniture now.
Oh, good.
So, Chanel,
Good.
my heartfelt thanks for you coming on here, sharing your knowledge and your wisdom with us here, and all that you do in this world. You're such a precious being. You're such a magnificent, radiant being of light in this world. And I truly, truly appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Kaz. Thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate this. And you are just so beautiful. You are shifting frequencies left, right, and center. I mean, you are such an amazing teacher, honestly. And I can only think as a life coach, you are quite phenomenal. Thank you for having me. I'm more humbled and honored than ever just for you to speak to me.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much. And what we'll do is we'll leave all your contact details in the show notes so that if anybody wants to contact you and work with you and get your book and so on, they can connect with you there. Thank you, Chanel.
Excellent. Thanks. Thanks. Thank you.